Alright, so here's the next step into making your wire self-portrait. I'm going to start with the eyes. I moved on to using the aluminum wire because it's a lot more flexible and malleable. But to begin, I just started by attaching it next to where the eye would be on my face. So you want to continue this line and kind of shape it with your fingers, and at every point that it will meet a wire, for the most part, you're going to want to attach it. So that's as easy as just wrapping it around tightly. And you can shape as you go, but keep in mind that the shapes that you make aren't always going to stay exactly the way that you want them, because you're going to keep moving and twisting and changing things as you go. So I need to keep in mind that as I'm wrapping things and shaping them to become the form that I want them to be, that I'm attaching them in the right spots. So what is the right spot to attach it? You need to be considerate of where things feel loose and where things feel secure. If it's secure, then it's not going to be wiggling around and it's staying in place. If it's loose, then you're going to find that it's moving around or it's not fully attached, and you just want to avoid doing that and close those loops as you go. So if you leave a spot where it's not completely attached and then come back to it, I think that will be more challenging. It's better to just take care of those little problems as you go. Something to think about is the little tiny details that you just need to ignore. Some details like that in the eye could be like your eyelashes, the iris in your eyeball. I think that this project is about simplifying features, so if you can't get every single little feature, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it, just kind of move forward constructively and try and make it look like it's at least an eye. So a key point to take away with this project is that your portrait is stylized. So stylized means that it kind of roughly looks like you, but in a way that is kind of unique and different. A lot of people use this idea in their work. It's not just for portraits, but it's depicting things in life that is non-realistic. It doesn't follow a conventional form. So an example of this could be the iconic heart shape. So you see the heart shape, but that's not what a heart looks like. But everybody knows hearts and thinks of that, like regular heart shape. So that's kind of like, it's stylized. But back to the portrait that I'm working on in the video. As you can see, I ran into a little bit of trouble where it got a little bumpy, and I'm using my pliers to straighten that out. Something that I compared this technique to, the idea of sculpting with wire, is like sewing, but with really hard thread. I think that wire portraits and working with wire in general is pretty challenging for people. But a big thing to keep in mind is to just persevere through it and problem solve the best you can. And also keep in mind that it's okay if it's not perfect. The main thing you need to do is just get everything attached. As you can see here, that eye is not attached well. So something that I did, as you can see as it progresses, is I took a smaller piece of wire and attached one end of my eyeball to the side of my face. So that's why making the armature and having those lines is really helpful. You might not use all of them, but they do serve really well if you need them. I find that I have a certain way of making the eyes, and this is probably the fourth one I've done in this video, so just think about the fact that, if this is your first time doing it, that it's not going to be exactly the way you want it. That's okay. Or maybe you're naturally really good at this and you found a new skill that you're really enjoying. At the end of the day, this has a lot of applications outside of an art room. Working with wire can help you problem solve in so many different ways in life, and I've found that it's been very useful. So I'm nearing the end of this eye, and I did want to get my actual iris in there at least some version of what it could look like. So something that I really like to do is make swirls, and this is like a fun technique to do with the wire. It's easier to do when the wire isn't attached to something already, but in this video I showed kind of how to do it. If you look closely, you're just kind of starting to make a circle with the wire, a really tiny circle, and if you have pliers, you can start twisting from the inside around and around and around. That's just how I got the iris, but like I said, it's up to you and you can figure out how to problem solve.